Hello friends, today is June 12th, 2021. Over here it's a Saturday at my local time. Today I just want to make a quick video of my trading journal and some thoughts of the recent Bitcoin moves. So just like my previous idea I published a week ago, or you guys can check the last video, this triangle is still in play. This triangle is still in play. As you can see, after the last time I published this idea, we have a huge pullback or a huge bullish sort of like green candle. However, we get rejected by the resistance. So that day, a huge news like come out, right? El Salvador become the first country to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender. They're saying the Bitcoin law has been approved by the Congress. So like I mentioned previously, in order for us to go bullish after this huge bearish dump, which is more than 50% in a few days, right? Which is a 50% drop in like a week or two. We need some sort of like catalyst or news comes out in order to turn the majority sort of like a bearish or uncertainty of the Bitcoin price in the market to rebuild that sort of confidence and go back to the bullish run, right? However, just like the last time I published this sort of like idea, we are in a descending triangle. So you could draw the descending triangle here, or you can argue the support is the low here instead of the close. Regardless, we are certain that we keep hitting this resistance, we keep making the lower highs. Even though June 8th or June 9th, which is about a few days ago, when this news comes out, like a country is adopting like Bitcoin as a legal tender, or they pass a law to legalize Bitcoin in their country, passed through Congress. We have this huge green candle, which is what, about 17%, 17% in a day. However, even this news comes out, we still hit this resistance. We fail to make higher highs or even break the previous high, right? The previous high is around 39,470, something like that, around 39,500. The highest high we went was about less than 39K. So we still keep making lower high even after this news breakout. What I have been saying that after this huge drop, after we dropped all the way below this 200 EMA, which has been a very strong support for the past year since COVID, right? We dropped this much below the 1 year support, majority support, the major support of 200 EMA. It's going to be very hard for us to go bullish, to go all-time high or whatever, right? I see a lot of people saying it's just the bear is over. In my opinion, we really need something, catalyst news comes out just like June 9th, and then maybe we can go higher, break above this 200 EMA, right? And then go higher. But as for now, we're not, right? Even after the June 9th, a country adopting Bitcoin, we're still fail to break the resistance, fail to make higher highs, fail to break this previous high. We keep making lower highs and keep being in this triangle. Can you imagine if this news comes out somewhere around like April or somewhere around March? It would definitely be a very huge pump based on this news. But currently, yes, moving 70% is really nice, but you can see right after we're keep going down, and currently we're at 35,500. So this news alone isn't enough to break us back above the 200 EMA or above the bear zone to turn bullish. We need a lot more than that. Thus, the current moves or the chart is still in play like our previous analysis. I still see this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave right? This wave, 5-wave structure to 20K is still in play. I can draw a support line over here based on 2017 high. From wave 1 to wave 2, we pull back to around 0.65, right? My lines are a little bit off. It's somewhere around from here to here. So 0.65 is a typical pullback from wave 1 to wave 2. And then if we use fib extension, which I think is the most important thing here, we dropped all the way to 1.618. So that's a very huge sort of like extension from wave 2 to wave 3. You can see 1-to-1, like I mentioned in previous videos, is around 200 EMA, is around this resistance in January. And after this resistance, you see from 40K went all the way to 65, right? $65,000 to all-time high, right? So we failed to hold 200 EMA. We failed to hold 1-to-1 extension. We failed to hold this resistance, or the resistance we broke in February to get to all-time high, which is really, really bearish. And we have that 1.618 sort of extension. In my opinion, there's no way we're just going to have a V-shaped recovery and get back to it. And if we take the fib retracement from point 2 to the end of wave 2 to the end of wave 3, we see the 0.328 is exactly at 41K, which is around the 200 EMA, and also which is around like where we have been retesting, right? This zone. The highest high we pulled back to is around 42,000, okay? And the open was around 41K. The close was even lower. So we have not yet made above this 0.382 pullback above this 200 EMA. So from wave 3 to wave 4, 0.328 is also a very textbook sort of like pullback. Wave 4 can never go above wave 1. If it does, then this structure doesn't work. So if anytime we pull back above 46, 47K, that's really, really, really bullish for the bulls, right? For Bitcoin price. But firstly, we really need to break out this triangle over here. We can't keep making lower highs. We can't keep going like this. If going like this, sure, we could break out here, but think about it. Like we had a very bearish sort of like move, and this is a descending triangle. So it's more like it's gonna be a continuation pattern, which is continuous to the bearish run, like the 50% drop, compared to having a reversal as a bull, right? This descending triangle after the 50% drop, if we play this out, keep making lower highs, it's more likely it acts like a continuation pattern instead of a reversal pattern. I think somebody did a study on this. They did a lot of research. For a descending triangle, it's probably more like a continuation pattern, especially after a bearish run, compared to the reversal. I think the odds is more than 50% for us to keep dropping as a continuation pattern instead of reversal. So really, I wish Bitcoin do not keep this pattern going on, right? Like if we keep going like this at this point, I think dropping is more likely. Drop to here is more likely. So how do we turn bull in this kind of like very bearish pattern? Like this June 9th, right? Like this June 9th news from El Salvador. I'm thinking like if we really need to make lows, of course we can't break this low. We can't break 30K, right? If we break 30K, that's really bad. Maybe I think somewhere around here, this bull run, small green candle, just like on June 9th, some government published news, and sure, we get rejected by the resistance because that's what resistance is, right? The resistance line has been played since like May 21st. That's almost 3 weeks or a month ago after the huge drop. Maybe we pull back a little bit, but that's it. We don't pull back to that 30K anymore. Maybe something comes out, a celebrity, a news comes out, and then we go break above this resistance right away. We break this $38,000 or $39,000 previous high, or even this previous high. We go straight to the 200 EMA. If we can make this kind of move, I'm turning or at least I think the bullish case is a lot more likely than currently. But until we break this triangle, and even we break this triangle, like I mentioned previously, it's very likely we get rejected by the 200 EMA. It's more like, it's probably, the line will probably look like this, since we keep making this lower highs, right? So the 200 EMA is probably gonna keep going down. So at this point, I hope we can break 40K. If we break 40K above this 200 EMA, that's a very, very bullish sign for us. But until we can break this, even we break the resistance of this triangle, I'm looking at a rejection over here, right? Because this support, or now the resistance, has been strong for the past 1 year for 2020. Now we're below this. In order to break this, it's very, very hard for us. And also, don't forget this 20-day, 100-day, 50-day, whatever kind of moving average you're using, 50-day and 200-day death cross. We gotta keep a very close eye on this. If our 50-day is below 200 EMA, so when was the last time happened? It was like COVID. So like I mentioned, for the past few videos and my ideas, like this has been a very strong support. These lines has been a very strong support. For drawing trend lines or whatever systems you use, like you can draw trend lines like this, you can draw support like this, you can draw support above. Regardless how you draw, like all these tools are just more like a sentiment analysis, right? The resistance, because we keep making lower highs, we can't break above, we can't break higher. That means the bulls are not that strong. If we were really that strong, we would have been breaking this and go to 200 EMA and break above, but we didn't. We fell right through that 200 EMA. We fell right through the 1 year support. We never even stopped here, like make some zigzags. It never happened. If you are a bull, I would say has to break this resistance. And then we really have to break this 200 EMA. But honestly, after we break this 200 EMA, we go back to the support. In my honest opinion, this thing, even it drops back to the 38K or 200 EMA, I think this will hold. Because after breaking 200 EMA, everybody is just going to have confidence in Bitcoin or the price or the bull market again. What about for bears? For bears, I think it's more likely we turn bear at this point. I don't know exact the percentage, but at least from the chart, from the lower highs, we keep making from the drop below the 200 EMA, below this resistance line, after this 50% huge price drop. I don't think bears is going to be exhausted that fast. It's more likely we still have a few weeks or a few months to make lower lows, right? So what is a bearish case for us? Again, you can draw the support regardless, like whatever, however you want, right? You could draw from the lows and close over here, or you can draw it from the lows at 30K. But what we are certain about is we keep making lower highs, getting this resistance, and we're making a descending triangle, that's for sure. Whether you draw the support over here or you draw the support below. So we're making this descending triangle. It's very likely it's a continuation pattern, as I mentioned previously. And we finish this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we know we're at wave 4, right? Another theory in Elliott wave is if wave 2 and wave 4, they're all pullbacks, right? But wave 2, we pull back a lot more to 0.65 or 0.5 or 0.786. As long as it's not more than like above 0.1, then this is, we consider a legitimate pullback for wave 2. Wave 4, typically 0.382. 0.5 maybe, but never pull back above 0.1, right? So these are still in play, like very textbook 0.65, 0.32 pullback. Another theory in Elliott wave is wave 2 and wave 4 all are sort of like a reversal or pullback waves, but they're very different sort of like formation, very, very different patterns normally, right? So if wave 2 is a simple ABC move, which I see it's pretty simple, right? We go from the low to the high, we come back with this red candle, and then we go above again. So this look like an ABC pattern. So if wave 2 is an ABC pattern, Wave 4 should be a lot more or a little bit more complicated than wave 2. So it's not, most likely it's not going to form an ABC move. It's going to be like ABCDE or WYZ kind of move. And I'm seeing us like doing exactly that kind of move. So if I start with from here, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe this is the end. Maybe we're going to break out after this. But when we see like wave 2 and wave 4 are different formation, right? Wave 2 is very easy, like a 3 move to the high, and wave 4 we're having all this zigzags in this descending triangle, regardless how you draw those support lines over here or over here. If this Elliott wave is valid as we think, then I'm seeing like wave 4 is going to continue in this descending triangle, and eventually it's going to break down, right? Eventually it's going to break down. Maybe we have one more try, or maybe 2 more, but eventually we're gonna go down to the wave 5 as a wave 5 or to the low, right? So if I redraw the Elliott wave over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now the question is like, what is the extension of wave 5, right? So one way is we can take a fib extension from wave 2 to wave 3 to wave 4. We can see the 0.65 is at around 21K. So in my opinion, if wave 3, of course there are a lot of people thinking like different ways, right? If wave 3 was like 50%, like 1.618, this much bearish drop, I don't think wave 5 is gonna go that much. I'm thinking this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we were gonna make the last drop, it's gonna be exhausted pretty fast. It's not gonna be go to the 1-to-1, like we're gonna go to 10,000 or even lower. I don't think so. I think this pattern is gonna stop a lot faster than the 1-to-1 extension, because we had such a huge move of wave 3. So for wave 5, I don't see that much of drop. So I do see 2017 the high at 20K is a very strong support, because if we see it before we broke out to the 65 all-time high end of last year or early this year, we're getting rejected 2-3 times, right? But after we broke out, wow, sky is the limit, right? From 20K all the way to 40K, which you double your money, or Bitcoin double the price. Sure, there was a little drop here and there. They're not even 20% as significant as previous drops like this, right? Or the drops like over here or there. So from 20K to 40K, this is a massive sort of like bull run without any pullback or any rejections. So I do see this as a very strong support. And since we had such a huge move for wave 3, I do see wave 5 should be exhausted pretty fast. So if wave 5 got exhausted pretty fast at 0.65, and we have this 2017 high as a support, there's another confirmation I think we can use is the RSI. So the RSI currently is pretty low, around 40 or 39. We're having this resistance over here. We keep making this divergence, bearish divergence. So when we went higher, the RSI actually lower. When we went higher, the RSI is actually going lower and lower. But we're having this trend line or resistance for the RSI. And if the bearish case is really going to happen, if we drop, I see this getting exhausted should be pretty fast, because we're at a point this low already. So from 35K to 20K, that's what, around another 40-50%, which we're definitely going to drop below this 20-25 zone. And after that, I do see this bear case is going to get very, very exhausted like very fast. Another way we can do it is to measure from wave 1 to wave 2, or the length of wave 1, and then we take this, we apply to wave 4. As you can see, we're also around 20K. Again, for bearish case, I do see like we stop at 20K. At 20K, I do think there's going to be a huge reversal, at least back to probably 30K, to this resistance, right? To this resistance over here. Since if we drop to 20K, this is where we're going to go. And then, or we can go all the way to the 200 EMA at around 40K. So if we buy at 20K and sell at 30K or 40K, that's at least 50% or 100% return. And I think that would be a very, very valid entry point, and the risk is a lot lower. You can also entry at 30K. So if could wave 5 just stop at wave 3? Yes, it's possible. It happened before. It's exhausted over there, or we're having a huge news here. But like I said in the last video, how long can this zone last, or how long can this zone hold, right? We've been testing it like 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Sure, we never dropped at 30K, but we were close. We were around 31, or this time like even lower, right? We're very close to 30K to 31K, which is only 1,000 out of 30,000, right? So this zone, so how many times can a support last? How many times can a support last, especially when we're in this descending triangle, especially we keep making lower highs, especially we never, or we failed to broke out many times, and we keep coming back to this support. How many times can this support hold? So if the next time we come back to 30K again, or we go a few times, we go up and we come back again. If we come back like 5, 6 times, how long can this 30K hold? So my point is, you can buy it at 30K or even over here again. You wish the bullish case happens, which is we broke over here and we go down or whatever, right? So if you want to enter at 30K, you hope the bullish case happens. You think it's gonna, from here you broke out, or from here you broke out. Yes, it could happen, but what's the risk, right? What's the risk after this huge 50% drop, when we're having this descending triangle, when we have this huge resistance over here? You buy at 35K or 30K and you think it's gonna break out. And even you break out, you're gonna get rejected most likely by the 200 EMA regardless, right? So if you buy 40K and you sell at 30K, you sell at 39K, you make 30%. Yes, that's pretty good profit, but what's the risk here, right? What's the risk of breaking this descending triangle? And imagine if on June 8th we're having this huge drop, and if June 9th the El Salvador news never came out. If this news didn't came out exactly on that day, what do you think this pattern is gonna look like for that day? Are we gonna make this kind of high, or are we gonna keep making those slow zigzags, or maybe touch here again and then keep dropping? Right. So all it's risk. What's your tolerance of risk? Do you think it's gonna happen at this bullish run, which is sure it's likely, but what's the risk you're taking? So be careful out there. I think before we break this resistance or 200 EMA, the bearish case is more likely to happen. Either we go to 30K again, if some like great news comes out, and then we go higher, maybe here, and here. But if nothing happens, we keep like this pattern play out, then I'm telling you, most people are seeing this as a descending triangle after the bear, or the market is probably gonna think this is a continuation pattern. And when we drop to 30K again, some people will think as a support, but there will also be a lot of people think we're gonna break. We're gonna break, especially if we had a slow bleeding like this candle when we had 200 EMA. Maybe we bounce a little bit and then we're just gonna drop. So be careful out there. Think about how much risk you can tolerate, and keep watching on the news about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. If any catalyst comes out, sure, we can have a bullish case or bullish reversal and go back to 200 EMA all-time high again. But before we break this resistance, or before we break this 200 EMA, I see bearish move is more likely than the bullish case. And that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.